On April 7, 2026, the American president set a countdown clock for an entire nation. Donald Trump issued an absolute ultimatum. If Iran did not open the Strait of Hormuz within a matter of hours, their entire civilization would be destroyed and never come back. The immediate panic centered on the Bushehr nuclear power plant, Iran's only active facility. 4 bombs had already detonated near it since the conflict began. If a preemptive or retaliatory strike breached the plant, radioactive material would pour directly into the coastal waters. The resulting contamination would wipe out the local water supply and marine life, leaving the Gulf region uninhabitable for generations. With exactly 90 minutes left before the attack deadline, the strike was called off. Instead, a sudden announcement broke: a temporary 2-week ceasefire, brokered through a direct diplomatic channel by Pakistan. Within a single afternoon, the global state flipped from the certainty of nuclear exchange to a signed peace document. This 90-minute reversal exposes the extreme volatility of modern geopolitical warfare, where entire national fates are decided in the time it takes to watch a movie. When the global landscape shifts that rapidly, traditional ways of staying updated become obsolete. If you can't process a total reversal in international relations within an hour, you are effectively operating in the past. To handle this volume of data, you need tools that can synthesize complex reports and breaking news in seconds. Global diplomacy moves at a dangerously slow pace. The April 7th ceasefire offered a temporary pause, yet the underlying conflict remained entirely unresolved. Before that final ultimatum, the U.S. had already issued 4 separate deadlines demanding Iran open the Strait of Hormuz: March 21st, March 23rd, March 28th, and April 6th. Iran ignored every single one of them. Behind this standoff was a critical military reality check. On April 3rd, Iranian forces shot down an American F-15E Strike Eagle. The aircraft was destroyed. While the crew ejected, it triggered a massive, high-risk rescue operation deep behind enemy lines by Delta Force and Navy SEALs. Up until that moment, the president claimed America had total air dominance in the region. Losing a fighter jet altered the strategic balance of the conflict, forcing both sides to the negotiating table in Islamabad, Pakistan on April 11th. The Iranian delegation presented a 10-point proposal, and while several conditions were met, they hit a brick wall on nuclear enrichment. The U.S. demanded a total dismantling of Iran's nuclear program. Iran countered with a 5-year suspension limit. Neither side blinked. Failing to bridge that gap on uranium enrichment ended the diplomatic route. Without a compromise, the strategy shifted instantly from negotiation to maximum economic strangulation. The very next day, April 12th, the American delegation walked away. Within hours, the U.S. Navy initiated a total naval blockade of all Iranian ports. This created a double blockade scenario in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran had closed the strait to Western cargo, but let friendly nations like China pass. The new U.S. layer was deployed to intercept those Chinese vessels and sever that financial lifeline. This satellite image details Karg Island, where Iran exports 90% of its oil. With revenue cut off, an overlaid graph tracks the shock. Prices plummeted 10% when the strait opened, then violently spiked when it closed again. By sealing off a single stretch of maritime water, 2 opposing military forces effectively took the entire global energy market hostage. Beyond the volatility of the trading floors, this standoff creates severe physical risks for neutral nations. Superpower conflicts in these choke points inevitably inflict collateral damage on global trade, and India has become particularly vulnerable. On April 18th, 2 Indian-flagged merchant vessels attempted to navigate the strait. One of them was the Sanmar, a supertanker carrying 2 million barrels of Iraqi oil. They were given initial clearance, but as they crossed, Iranian Revolutionary Guard gunboats intercepted them and opened fire. The audio recordings from the Sanmar capture the crew performing an emergency U-turn under live fire just to escape the area. While Indian sailors were dodging bullets, the diplomatic response from New Delhi was remarkably disconnected. India's Foreign Minister, S. Jaishankar, publicly mocked Pakistan as a mere middleman for brokering the ceasefire. Meanwhile, his own government was actively petitioning Washington, asking for temporary waivers just to be allowed to purchase Russian oil. It exposed a harsh reality. A nation can project strength in press conferences, But if it cannot physically secure its own energy supply through a blocked maritime choke point, it remains completely at the mercy of superpowers. And the chaos wasn't contained to the Gulf. Seizing on the distraction of the US-Iran standoff, Israel launched its deadliest bombing campaign in Lebanon, killing over 300 people and claiming those borders weren't covered under the temporary peace. That brings us back to the immediate threat. The Pakistan-brokered pause in hostilities officially expires on April 22nd. The peace talks have failed, the warships are locked in formation, and the Strait of Hormuz remains a hostile zone. We are now counting down the hours to a deadline that could ignite an uncontrollable regional war.